everyone, back again with me Mayang from 42 Interactive, a digital transformation agency based in Sydney, Australia. Our 42 BTS, or Behind the Scene podcast series, will cover everything you need to know about tech news in general, 42 Interactive as a company, our amazing team, its exciting journey, and much more.
Hi Rob, happy Friday. I'm so glad that I have you here today. This is actually the second episode of our 42 Interactive podcast. The last one I had with Danny. We were talking about the design process and step by step how 42 Interactive, sharing about how he do the design for our clients. It was very exciting. So for this episode, we're going to focus more about 42 Interactive and a little bit about digital transformation. Okay, so before we begin talking about 42 Interactive, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your background as a shift leader and experiences in that field?
Sure. Hi, Mayang. Hello, everyone. Great to see you. And happy Friday as well. Looking forward to the weekend. So. I started 42 Interactive. We started with Danny, as you mentioned before, back in 2017. But prior to that, I was working for a agency in Sydney, and then I ran a couple of smaller mobile dev and development companies. But prior to that, I was in and around tech. Did a lot in networking and computer parts, but prior to that, my university time was spent in oceanography and hydrography, so a long way away from technology.
Oh, it's quite different, yeah.
Very different. So I spent time in university in the UK. You probably tell from my accent, I'm not from Australia originally, then that took me to salubrious places such as Nigeria and Angola, where I was a hydrographic surveyor and did some time also in Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan. But then I realized I needed some business experience, so I moved, did a stint as a commodity trader, and I worked for a big Japanese trading house for a while before I moved into technology. So I think that gave me varied insight and grounding into business as a whole, and has allowed me now to take 42 Interactive forward, and driving it with Danny and the rest of the growing team into what we are today. So that's a bit about me.
Oh, that's amazing. You had a very colorful experiences. But okay, right now in this episode though, we're going to focus on the digital transformation, although I'm sure we all and then our viewers are already quite aware of the term, but for those who are still wondering, would you mind explaining a little bit about what exactly is digital transformation?
Okay, so what is digital transformation? So it's a term that's been used for a while, and a lot of people may have heard of digital transformation, but in essence, I think it means different things to different people, but for us or for myself, it basically means integrating digital technology into all areas of a business, and this helps fundamentally change how businesses operate, deliver, and provide value to their customers. And not only is it a digital technology change, potentially moving paper out of a system and changing to digital, but it's also it needs to have a cultural change, and staff and teams need to get on board with that there's a lot of experimentation, and people need to through the digital transformation process get comfortable with failure, because you need to experiment, and you need to try things out to get things improve and move things ahead, and it's an ongoing iteration, but that's in essence how I see digital transformation.
True, that's true. And although I think most of the companies right now is already very familiar and already embraces digital transformation and digitizing their business, right? But how do you think digital transformation will affect today's and the future industry?
We're now in post-pandemic. Obviously, the last few years have been tough for everyone around the world, due to COVID. And I think, digital transformation has definitely had to, accelerated, as a need of that. A lot of businesses that previously did all or the majority of their interactions and transactions in a physical world have, had to move into the digital space and had to have transform their business digitally in order to survive, or at least keep going. So, it's not a case of just, digitizing everything you have and throw it in, into the cloud or whatever and hope it all works, or, firing up e-com. There's whole workflows and thought processes that need to go through before you sort of start that journey. And that's, also why we've created our digital deep thought process to help organizations and sit with organizations for them to understand, why they should transform digitally, where are the challenges, what have they already got, because, they may be part way through that digital transformation journey and just need a helping hand in one or two areas rather than a complete new greenfield. Yeah. It's definitely a new world, and I think obviously, things like the buzzwords coming out, from metaverse to NFTs, that sort of stuff is, digital transformation is here to stay. The term may change, but basically businesses, to survive, in my opinion, nowadays have to move into that digital ecosystem, not only to survive but to help drive efficiencies forward.
So we already know the importance of digitizing your business and the benefit of it for companies and future and current industries. And let's say if a client or if a company, a brand interested in digitizing their business, where do you think they should start with digital transformation?
It's a good question, Maya, and I think there's a lot of options and a lot of different softwares for clients to kind of look at, and there's a lot of good marketing in the softwares. But I think the first place that organizations need to start is they need to have an assessment of where they are currently, because you need to know, and they need to know what kind of base are they coming off. So a review or an audit or something along those lines, of where things are with their tech, where things are with their brand, where things are with their user journey, security, CRM. That whole digital ecosystem needs to be reviewed, and we put together our process, which is it's called the digital deep thought process, which does exactly that, and we can sit with customers and take them through, maybe the marketing team want to look at a brand review or a heuristic view of all their digital assets, whether that's a mobile app or a website or their e-com stuff, to maybe sitting with the CIO or the tech team of where is their tech currently, where's the tech stack, what have they got, is it scalable, where it's going, and then that removes also to looking at CRM systems, how they're collecting data, where are they using data, because a lot of companies collect amazing amounts of great data, but it then seems to get lost in a pile and it's not utilized, and that also goes hand in hand with there's a lot of talk of cyber attacks going on around the world. There needs to be a security review of all this sort of system as well. So we would say to clients who are serious about digital transformation is sit down and review all of these things, document what they've got, where they are, and then from there there's an understanding of where they can move from. So they could do one or all of those. Obviously, the more they do, the bigger and the better picture they have. Okay,
cool to know. Let's move forward to the challenges of if people want to, digitizing this business, what is their challenges that they're going to face? Because this is quite important for them to know. For me, in my perspective, digital culture, it's quite it's not challenging that it's really hard to learn. But like in my era and maybe like older one, it's quite hard for them to actually like adjust, to adjust about VR and then about AR, to learn about those kind of like digital the technology. It's quite takes time for them, and in the other hand, like the generation Z, it's very easy for them because they're born with it and grow up with it. So maybe it's kind of like have a like a big and major problem in like adjusting themselves to this kind of like digital culture. What do you think? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, there's technology moves really fast, really, really fast. And my parents and and your parents, the technology that was around then, compared to now is is completely different. And you've got you've got NFTs, you've got blockchain, you've got metaverse, you've got VR, you've got AR, and that's let's call it the high end or the advanced stuff that's going on. And I think there is one of the hurdles I think is that fear of the unknown. People, they've heard about it, but they don't really know what it is. And I think they need, experts to sort of walk them through, what that really means. It's not a scary word. It kind of, it's not, digital transformation isn't having a Facebook account. It isn't, setting up an e-commerce. There's a lot more to it. And I think people, either because they don't know, kind of maybe sort of give the impression that they do know, but really they need to sort of sit down and kind of understand, and not fear the unknown, because I think that's a big thing. Change does mean risk, and risk is scary, and sometimes people would rather just sort of not so put their head in the sand, but they may have the mindset, this is the way we've always done it, why change? The world is changing. The world has definitely changed rapidly over the last few years, and so sometimes they do need a hand, or they do need experts to sort of take that fear of the unknown out of the equation.
Going outside their comfort zone to move forward. That's true. Okay.
Exactly.
I kind of understand, because it's funny that you mentioned about Facebook. Before Facebook was created, we were like thinking, oh, what is this kind of platform? Is it safe? Is it But right now it's like you don't have Facebook, that's quite a bit. You know what I mean? So it's all about like adjusting to it, and then to kind of like using our cycle to kind of like explain it to you guys about how it works and the challenges, and it's actually not a very scary world. Okay.
Exactly.
So
exactly. And I think if you use that analogy, everyone's heard of Facebook or Meta, as they recall themselves, but people, there's so many of those social channels, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or TikTok, and maybe TikTok is one of those ones that people have heard about it, but they perhaps haven't got on board with it because of this fear of the unknown. I don't know what it is, or that assumption it's all about I've got to dance, or I've got to do something silly, or whatever it may be, and that's obviously not
that kind of image.
Correct. And I think the other thing is, I think another obstacle, well, there's a couple more obstacles with digital transformation, but I think another big one is money or finance.
That's true.
Changing is it costs money. You've got to as I said, first of all, go through an audit review of what you've got, and then you're going to have to invest, whether that's in design or development or new technology, and I think finance investment is sometimes a hurdle, but I think if you do or companies do a long-term review of what that investment can turn into, whether it's efficiencies, freeing up other staff to do other things, or even currently there's a lot of countries who have resource shortage or staff shortages. Is there elements of digital transformation you can implement so you don't have to go and hire two very expensive resources? Is there stuff that you can you'll get your money back because you're not spending money on reams of paper or shipping logistics? So finance is definitely a one, and that is also tied to to the vision. I think every digital transformation project that we've been involved in, with our clients, and needs to have, someone who is in effect a digital advocate or has the vision to go down this road, because someone's got to take the bull by the horns and make sure that they have bought in, they have a clear vision of what they're trying to do, and trying to communicate that vision of why they're trying to do it. Because if it's just this piecemeal stuff and they don't have a plan or the vision of where they want to take this, there's a risk that it could just be piecemeal and band-aid here and patch up there. So vision is definitely something that is a need on a digital transformation project. And I think also the other thing is the technology side, definitely, or the inflexibility of technology. There may be a lot of businesses that have or want to go on the digital transformation journey, but they've invested thousands or millions of dollars on a tech platform that was stood up 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and things have moved on. As I said before, technology moves at a rapid pace, and if people believe that the technology they had 5 years ago or 10 years ago without upgrades is actually going to help them with the future and transform themselves digitally, they really need to look at that in a different vein. And sometimes it's hard, especially from a financial point of view. They've invested so much money, they believe they've got something that they've either been sold or told that it does all these things, and they can't believe that when we come in and say, well, it's great, it does this and this, but either you need to update it, improve it, or actually move off your tech stack completely and move to invest in a new platform. And sometimes that's a hard pill to take. And I think also as well, if you don't do that review or audit of what you've got currently and where you're going, there's always a risk that companies will see the shiny thing or the software that's been bang the drum loudest in the market, and they'll go and buy that because they believe that they hear a user case or a story that's going to solve their problems without understanding the bigger picture. So that to me is a big thing as well. We want organizations to be spending money in tech in the right place and not kind of turn up and say, hey, we've got this and this and this. That being said, we do a lot of digital integration work where companies do have existing tech and financially they can't change, whether it's security systems or infrastructure systems. And so we can build bespoke platforms where we actually can integrate existing tech into a much bigger offering and have APIs or SSO communicating into one platform to be able to provide a solution to clients.
That's true. And although it's very important to take a risk and then to invest in this technology, but it's really important for them to actually understand their problem and what they need first, to be understanding and then tailored to what they need in a good places. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So talking about technology, and it's fast moving, could you share with us what's the current tech trend that business need to be aware of? What do you think right now, the current?
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on for sure. I suppose right now the two things that are probably of the hottest things or the things most talked about or most interest are probably I know there's a lot of talk about NFTs, but it's more the tech that actually drives NFTs. So blockchain technology, most people will be aware that the blockchain runs crypto. So from a finance point of view, but for me, the most exciting and interesting bit is what blockchain technology do for things like contracts, agreements. NFTs is part of that, but to me, that's from a business point of view. The blockchain is pretty exciting of where that will go. And then the other one, which we is something close to our heart because we do a lot in virtual reality and augmented reality, is the metaverse being bandied around.
Yeah, it's quite hot right now.
It is. So the metaverse is basically it's been around for a while. It's a new word for something that's been out there for several years, and I think now the fact that virtual reality hardware headsets are getting cheaper, they're getting smaller, so it's less cumbersome thinking that you're wearing a computer on your head. They've got lighter versions, the Oculus Go that have come out, and that immersive experience is now no longer just for your PS5 and gaming. The VR or that immersive experience goes into business, whether that's for training, for showcasing your property from a marketing point of view, AR where you can point to a particular something in a building, and it pops up and tells you what that thing is, and maybe do you want to order it, replace it. There's so much that the metaverse and VR and AR can do, and I think with Apple coming out with whatever they come out with later this year, I think that's going to drive things forward. And I guess we just got to see how that, the fragmentation of the hardware side of things. Obviously, you've got Oculus, you've got HTC, you've got HP, you've got Microsoft, all these people playing in different spaces with the hardware, and how that works is going to be interesting and exciting. And for us, we have a partnership in a VR medtech company called Neurotechnology. We're about to open a clinic in Sydney around virtual reality for chronic pain, so that's going to be pretty exciting, and also with thank you, and also with our VR theatre entertainment platform in Box Office VR, bringing theatrical experiences to anyone around the globe who has a VR compatible headset. Is another thing to especially if people want to go and see a show that is either in a different country or a different town, but also from a post-pandemic point of view where people are should we say less inclined to go and visit theaters or large events. I think that will change, but I think bringing technology to improve people's experiences and connecting them is definitely something that we believe strongly 42 Interactive.
That's true. Yeah, the technology is going really fast right now. So more reason, actually, for businesses to digitize their business, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. So right now, I think a lot of our viewers are already, kind of like aware that how important it is to digitize their business. And what is your biggest piece of advice for those who want to begin their digital transformation journey?
The biggest piece of advice, I think, is do an assessment on what you've got, or work with someone like us to help you do an assessment on your brand, your user experience, your technology, your workflow, your security, and your marketing and data channels. I think a lot of companies don't have an understanding of where they are, and if they can understand that, then the vision and the strategy they want to implement, they may have that already, but they know where their starting point is, and where they have to go from A to B to have a difference. So that would be the biggest bit of advice is understand fully what you've got, point A, and then understand where you want to go, point B. That's
true. Yeah, understanding first and be aware of it first is quite important, right? Before you actually jump into the big pond. Okay, I think that was the last question that I had for you, because we've got a limited time right now for our podcast. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for joining me today, Rob.
Thank you, Mayang.
I'm talking to you.
Thank you, Mayang. It's been great to see you, and yeah, take care, and see you soon.
See you soon. Happy Friday.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
So that's it for this episode. Please look forward for our next podcast series. See you around. Bye. For more information about our services, please visit our website and other social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Bye.